really quickly, I want to go through the design of what the Hydro Sponge is. Okay, we have a base through the sponge and lift tube. And basically, I will show you how to put this together here. So keeping in mind that all these Hydro Sponges are basically the same with just different size sponges. Typically, your sponge that's going to be ran by a air pump is going to come with a base. This is called a step, which can be removed or kept on. The point of this would be to bury it in the substrate and then keep this above the substrate. The next step is to add your female strainer, which goes right onto your base. Now, depending on how many sponges you want to run on your Hydro Sponge, you would put one female strainer, but you could also put one male strainer to make this larger, to hold a larger sponge or multiple sponges. But for now, since we're just working with the Hydro Sponge 1, we're going to take our sponge, set it on our on our female lift tube, and then we come and grab the bullseye. Now, the bullseye is meant to attach to the airline tubing that's going to be traveling to the sponge and making the current go through the sponge and drifting water away from it. So it's going to have a light circulation effect in the tank. And if you'd like to know more about how the flow of this sponge is compared to, say, a power head pump that can also run these same sponges, I encourage you guys to check out my other video, which I'll link down below. So this bullseye here is going to sit right here on top of the male sponge. But before we do that, what you can also choose to add is something called a diffuser. Now, this diffuser is going to make for a more fine bubble with less agitation to the top of the aquarium water. And this goes basically on the bottom side of the bullseye. Okay, and then here we have the 5-inch lift tube. Now, this can also be cut down to size if need be. There's also an 8-inch and an 18-inch depending on how tall your aquarium is. Standard, it comes with a 5-inch, so the other ones are sold separately. And now what you do here is you take your airline tubing, and I'm going to try to do this with one hand here, and you come through your lift tube and right onto your bullseye, and make sure it's secure. Now, something interesting about this bullseye too, in this space with the male and female strainers, is you can stick different type of medias in here to help for better filtration. You could put paragen in here, you could put carbon in here, or you can just leave it without anything. Stick your airline tubing on, then stick your lift tube. So another way to run these filters as standalone filters in the aquarium is by a power head pump. Now, this is going to be for more directional flow, and this is just one model that can be used. But basically, it just has the strainer there sit down into the sponge and blows the circulation of water straight, and then it's sucking water in through the sponge. Now, it's recommended that these are used with more coarse sponges here for allow for more flow. If you use the if you use more of the Hydro Sponge material, which is less grain for lower flow, these will get clogged much quicker, and you'll see the sponge actually start to suck into itself. So this is one way, which can be a more directional flow. If you guys would like to see the difference between the flow of the Hydro Sponge ran by a power head pump versus an air pump, I highly suggest taking a look at my video in the description below. Here's also another way to how you can run these sponges as pre-filters on other pumps or filters.